Okay, yeah, I'll call him. You know, I got you. You know, I like being here. I like being. You're like Batman. I'm Robin. I got you. I set it up for you. You don't know, no problem. Right here next to the hotel that got taken down. You don't know if any water got shut off, do you? Water? Water got shut off. We turned the water off. No, next door. I'm saying anything over that way. I'm saying that didn't pay a bill that you might know about. We have a contractor going over there. He said that next door to where they knocked it down, he said all the tenants they have no water, and we have no report of a water main burst. So I didn't know if maybe it would be you or the water main. Would they turn it off? Oh, maybe. Yeah. Because he said, listen, I'm getting ready to go down there, and I'm going to charge you people for me to show up. He said, if there was a water main break or so, he said, there's no point in me going. So I haven't heard anything. Okay. There you go. Family officers and rock churches. Apparently, I was going to say, where is he? Jeremy, when you're done, can you come here a sec, please? Listen, guys. Just an FYI, reporters told me that Rock Church is planning on arguing, and they just walked in. Well, I mean, we can't answer, so they're not family. No, they're not. They're probably going to public comment. No, we're not going to. Just out here that. Yeah. I just wanted to give you the heads up.
Hi, Karen. How are you? How are you? You want
Seriously.
copies? Yes.
That's one of the old.
This is wrong. So this is all the
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Hey, Councilman. I'm great. How are you? Councilwoman?
What's that? I'm waiting for Kenny. Yeah. He's here. Kenny's here now. Here, Kenny. You sign it?
He's the last one?
Yep. This. I got the rest.
I want to have any sort of. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. And you here? Braving the cold.
Yeah.
Zero temperature.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'll let him know when he comes up, too. Campos. The engineer. I'm sure the mayor will take care of it. I just wanted to make sure you knew.
Thank you. You're dear. Dear.
Lewis.
Mark, how are you, sir?
Oh yeah.
Look here, Brown.
Well,
Good at looking.
no.
Don't
It's
you
the
right
nightmares
here.
for
Oh,
dreams
okay.
too. So.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
they work for me.
Not to stay for local.
It's just a very
My God.
good dreams, bad dreams, you know.
Oh, I took it down.
I took it to my house.
Get out there.
I swear, I took it the other day. I'm saving them.
Just straying to yeah. Don't let us. Is Estelle here? We don't want. We don't get an HR complaint.
No, I'm thinking of like, the Caribbean.
Are you this weekend?
Something is, but not what they're going to.
I did. I apologize for not responding.
So you're maybe
But I did find on the
you guys
rec
you guys going
website their policy, at least for coaches, for
basketball or something? No.
and so
What else is there? You don't have a life beyond
I'm
that.
still trying to put the thing together to get to you, but I did. Don't worry about finding it. I did find it.
How are you, Lewis? I'm doing well, thank you.
Oh. Oh wow.
And
For what? For what age?
last night? Look at it.
Huh. Where's that going?
31. Beckham. They had 7.
Sounds like fun.
Well, you know, it's
Tie one on.
The rivalry too.
You'll be in no condition to do soccer on Sunday morning.
wrestling 16. So they're all wrestling the back and they ain't playing ball.
Yeah.
I'd be.
No, they pretty good.
I'd like to see you play in a black
For
tie.
4 1/4?
Team shoes. But wear the tuxedo.
Man, I twigged back of my calf running real quick.
Nothing overrides.
Caught in between running this way and coming back.
I like it. You know.
We can write an ordinance if
It's
it
like a
doesn't
very
override. Home rule charter is,
Oh, of course.
what's voted on by.
That's funny. Kenny,
We,
I know we got the all-star
Class City
referee
code,
here, but
which
damn,
is
can't they
state
foul?
code, that overrides.
It was funny though. It was funny. I think
But
Oh, we don't.
Otherwise,
Teller was there.
the only way that you override the charter is
Yeah.
take a
His
vote.
friend's team was inducted last night. Yeah.
Can't,
Jesus. Y'all
you
forgot.
can't write an ordinance to override. What'd you say?
You got that
Well, that might be.
Well, I mean, I don't
I'm just saying.
think that it is.
I'm gonna call that Bill.
Yeah, that effective means
That's funny.
effective doesn't mean required.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that's what I'm
goodness.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the amendment that you that says that's the,
Man, to make a shot. Look.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
okay,
None do I.
gotcha.
So I'll just take his.
Doop, 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 doop.
Maybe it's bomb.
They came to see you, man.
Yeah, I know they did. I mean,
That's quick to what I read.
Gary, sell out.
Oh, Lord.
One of these clever solicitations.
Really put in some personal effort though with
Yeah,
the handwriting.
I've got stuff like
It
that.
was
Very
the strongest
personal.
man. Yeah, we put them up.
No, I got. I was at Anderson.
Anderson. Oh, you're doing internship? They got a good program. They got a good program there.
Okay. 7 people were dying.
That's part of it. The grieving.
We're gonna do what we do. No, I need to sign. Everybody sign it.
Yeah, the new one. I said, yeah.
Right here. Call this stated session of City Council to order. Please rise for the invocation followed by the pledge of the flag.
Okay, no problem. I get it.
As we gather together today, we ask that your spirit of unity be present among us. Help us to put aside any personal agendas and differences and work together in harmony towards our common goal of a better community. Remind us of the words in Psalm 133, chapter 1, Behold, how good and pleasant is when brothers dwell in unity. Let this be our desire as we engage in discussion and make decisions that impact others. We trust that your guidance and grace, we can achieve a sense of unity and work together effectively. May our words be filled with love and respect for one another, and may our actions reflect the unity we strive for. And as we meet, we ask that you look over the people and the buildings in Los Angeles and Mayor Karen Bass. Keep the first responders safe and bring a big rainstorm to assist them in putting out the fires. In your holy name we ask this. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Ettinger?
Here.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Here.
Mrs. Rose?
Here.
Dr. Ruggles?
Here.
And Mrs. Sultana?
Here.
And Mayor Panto?
Here. Approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Moved in second. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. I just want to table the resolution approving the license agreement with fiber optics contract we have on the agenda tonight to the next meeting. After discussions last night at our committee meeting, Mazza was going to provide city council with additional information. So I'd like to remove that from the table till next meeting.
So we're just gonna table it, Mayor? Just gonna table?
Yeah, we're going to table it.
Yeah, so you wanna,
Roll call.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
And Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Action on our minutes approving the minutes of the July 8th meeting.
So moved.
January 8th, I'm sorry.
Move
July.
to approve.
Second.
Moved in second. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, we'll move for roll call.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
At this time, we have presentation to City Council by Chief Scalzo, who's going to introduce us to two new officers to be sworn in, Officer Capwell and Officer Vuz, and two promotions, David Costa to the Department Detective Criminal Investigation, and Brian Bird to our Inspector of Criminal Investigations also. And our officers that are retiring, Mr. Officer Piperati can't be here tonight, but Tony Arredondo is. I see Tony back there. Go ahead, Chief.
Good evening, everybody. Before we begin, obviously, I'd first just like to thank you, as I always do whenever we have these swearing-in ceremonies. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council, City Administration, for all the support over the years. Like I always tell you, you've been an instrumental part of the success of this department. And also like to thank the community members who are here this evening for witnessing, obviously, this very important event. We have several things, like the mayor stated, to accomplish. We're going to have two swearing-ins of two new officers, the swearing-in of two officers being promoted and appointed to new positions, and the retirement of two officers recognizing their careers with the department. So we'll begin this evening with the swearing-in of our newest officers as they begin their journey in law enforcement with the City of Easton Police Department. At this time, I'll have Nathan Capwell and Phil Vuz. Please step forward if you would, guys. Officer Capwell and Officer Vuz have committed to protecting and serving the citizens of the City of Easton. This is not a commitment that we as a department or individuals take lightly. It must be done with honor and with integrity. These officers should be proud of what they have accomplished thus far just by being selected to join the ranks of the Easton Police Department. The requirements and the duties of a police officer are ever changing, and very often it becomes a very thankless job. Make no mistake about it, for the men and women who serve, it's a calling and not just a job. This profession requires selflessness, dedication, and devotion to fellow officers, to citizens, and to the city as a whole. In the hiring process, the officers who stand before you have demonstrated the desire to devote themselves to the safety of this community and the citizens they will tonight swear to defend. To the families of Officer Capwell and Officer Vuz, I want to thank you for your sacrifices that you've already made and for the sacrifices that you will have to make as they embark on this journey. I am grateful for their promised commitment to this department and to the community.
Thank you, Chief. And I just want to welcome the officers and congratulate the promotions. We have a very professional police department, and you're joining the ranks to our new officers and our retiring officer. You're leaving one of the finest police forces in the region. When I took office in 2008, it was anything but exemplary, but today it is a premier status accredited police department. They've brought safety to the city, and they made our city a better place to live, work, and visit. So I want to thank you. Okay, guys, repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and of this Commonwealth. That I will enforce the laws of this Commonwealth
I could have Dave Costa please come forward. Officer Dave Costa is being promoted to the Criminal Investigation Division, where he will serve as a criminal investigator. Officer Costa began his career with the Easton Police Department in 2013. In 2017, Officer Costa became a field training officer, where he assumed the responsibility of training new officers who were starting their careers in the department. In 2019, Officer Costa was assigned to the Firearms Training Division as a firearms instructor. Officer Costa has been a valuable member of this department, has worked hard to serve the citizens of this community. He has taken every opportunity to not only better himself, but also help prepare and train new officers to perform their duties following best possible practices. For these reasons, I recommend that Officer Dave Costa be promoted to the rank of criminal investigator. And our last swearing in for the evening, if I could have Inspector Brian Bird please come forward. Detective Brian Bird is being promoted to Inspector, where he will serve as the first-line supervisor of our Criminal Investigation Division. Detective Bird began his employment with the City of Easton Police Department in 2006, where he has been a dedicated officer during his time with the department. In 2009, Detective Bird was assigned as a member of the Easton Police Department Special Response Unit, and in 2010 became a member of the team's Elite Sniper Unit. In 2013, Detective Bird was assigned to the Firearms Training Division as a firearms instructor. In 2016, Detective Bird was assigned to the Criminal Investigation Unit, where he served as a vice detective. In 2019, he remained in the Criminal Investigation Division, but now served as a criminal investigator. Detective Bird has been recognized throughout his career with numerous awards and citations, including in 2021, when the Kiwanis Club of Easton recognized him as the Easton Police Department's Officer of the Year. Detective Bird has dedicated over 18 years to the law enforcement profession and to the City of Easton as a police officer. For all of his accomplishments, I recommend he be promoted to the rank of inspector to oversee the department's criminal investigators. Lastly, tonight, we have some retirement recognitions that we'd like to make. And as we welcome 2 new officers and we celebrate the promotion of 2 others, it's kind of a bittersweet evening because we are also forced to say thank you and goodbye to 2 of Easton's finest officers, Inspector John Piperata and Inspector Tony Arredondo. Inspector Piperata was unable to attend this evening. However, I'd still like to recognize his service if I could. Inspector Piperata began his career in 2004 with the Easton Police Department, and he served loyally for 21 years. In 2009, Inspector Piperata was assigned to the Criminal Investigation Unit and was promoted to Inspector in 2021. During his time with the department, Inspector Piperata was a member of the Special Response Unit, Homeland Security Investigative Task Force, and the Northampton County Drug Task Force. Inspector Piperata was also a defensive tactics instructor and was named Officer of the Year in 2010. On behalf of the entire department, we thank him for his service. And if I could have Tony Arredondo please come forward. Inspector Arredondo began his career in 2004 with the Easton Police Department. He spent 20 years serving the citizens of this community. In 2010, Inspector Arredondo was assigned to the Community Problem-Oriented Policing Unit. In 2011, he was assigned to the Criminal Investigative Unit as a vice detective and was promoted to inspector of that unit in 2017. In 2011, Inspector Arredondo joined the Special Response Unit, served over 12 years as an operator in that unit. In 2024, he was assigned to the department's drone unit. In addition to the above appointments and promotions, Inspector Arredondo was a member of the Northampton County Drug Task Force, the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force, and the FBI Violent Crime Task Force. Inspector Arredondo has been recognized throughout his career with numerous awards and citations, including in 2009 when the Kiwanis Club of Easton recognized him as the Easton Police Department's Officer of the Year. I am grateful for all that Inspector Arredondo has given and all he has done to contribute to the Easton Police Department's unprecedented success. He will be missed. I have a plaque here that I'm going to read real quick. This is for Inspector Arredondo in grateful appreciation and recognition for 20 years of service with the Easton Police Department, December 15th, 2004 to January 2nd, 2021.
No wrong with it.
Represent with Anthony with this certificate of appreciation from the citizens of Easton, the City of Easton, and Easton City Council, all who have signed it tonight, and wish you good health and long retirement. At this time, we have public comment from the public on any item on the agenda. At the end of the meeting, there will be time for the public to voice their comments, concerns, and questions about the City of Easton. Anyone want to talk about anything on the agenda tonight? Moving on to consent agenda, Madam Clerk.
Mayor, you have somebody come up.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you for letting me speak.
May I
my
have your name and your address, please?
Yes, my name is Chris Santos. I live at 38 North 6th Street here in Easton. I also am the pastor of the Rock Church in Easton. I just wanted to come forward today and just make a statement and also make a plea. And I think you know what's coming. We both made conversation to these TV people. I think we call them TV people, you know. And when they asked me, they said, Pastor Santos, we spoke with the mayor this morning. I said, stop. Don't tell me anything. Ask me your questions. I'll just answer. At the end of the questions, I said, well, what did the mayor say? And she said, well, he was surprised that the church never spoke to him. And also he was surprised that we didn't know that the city has no interest in the Timothy House. 2 years ago, I came to you, almost 2 years ago. You were in the back office. First thing you asked me was, would you sell the Hooper House? And at that time, our interest was a handshake because you and I both know, you, Pastor Sam, the whole thing.
Pastor Sam was great.
Bad memories, right? It was a rough go. He actually went to Harrisburg. The CO for Timothy House is in Harrisburg. We're waiting for that to come, right? Because you asked for it. My desire has always been a handshake. My desire has always been peace. My desire has been to let old thoughts go and begin a new operation. We did work on the Hooper House. You know, you had mentioned that not work was done, but we did pointed Art. You remember him?
Art.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we don't forget him. He took the money and ran. Anyway, but 2 years ago I came to you and I said, I'd like to do a handshake between the city and the church. And I thought we were following what was prescribed. I opened up a 501c3 separate from the church so that there was no misunderstanding as far as finances in the public's eye. We wanted to do something, not only the city just take charge, but we wanted something where the community itself would be involved. And to that end, we rose $20,000 towards the feasibility study, and we would be moving ahead. But that wasn't to be. And so my request is you had said, why won't they talk to us? And if there is a way, the Timothy House is viable, it's active, and it's part of our church. It's part of the functions of the church. It's part of the rectory. And so if there's a way, why go to court? Because we have that February date. What a waste of energy and what a waste of time when we could be farther along. We already said, take the Hooper House. We've already bent our knee and said, please, take the Hooper House. And then the return from the email, because we did contact, the return from the email was, no, actually we're taking the Timothy House too, because it needs to come down to the ground. And I've seen many buildings go up around Easton, and I wonder, is there a company that's already been earmarked, some builder, something that we're going to erect a property there on top of the space that already has one? The property's not historic. It's a brick building, 4 apartments, and all these years since the day it was finished, it's had people in it. So it's not. We did ask to side the rest of it, and we were denied. So my goal was, come springtime, I'm going to tear all that off, and we're going to start repointing and do what we were asked to do. I've been in ministry for almost 40 years, and I followed behind my father. I have one regret. All the things I've done, I asked you for help. And I'm in a space now where I'm not able to fulfill my duty to my church, which was protect it, move it forward, and keep it safe. By asking for your help, I actually cost my church their peace of mind. If there is a way that we can talk, subdivide the property, because I understand it's a legal issue. It's in one property zone, or the tax map. If there's a way to separate that, that's what I ask. Because my dad got the Citizen of the Year award in the early 80s. I don't know if you remember that.
I was there.
Yeah. So we have a good history. I remember when this place was hookers and drug addicts and stay up all night fighting for the city. I mean, we have a good history. Even today, I do the same thing, and we help people. That's our only goal. But the loss of the Timothy House would be a loss of ability. And my request is, you said, I'm surprised they haven't come and talked to me. So I'm talking to you again, because we've sent emails, and you know the emails that have come back and forth. So now I'm formally saying, why can't we talk? Instead of tearing that building to the ground, the engineers, we're going to pay to get an engineer to oppose what the city says, that the wall is bearing on the Timothy House is a separate wall. I'm a builder, so I've done all my life. Instead of going through all of this, why can't we have a cup of coffee? Why can't we just talk? Come to a resolve.
Pastor, I have no problem with that. We have no interest, as I told the press, we have no interest in your Timothy House at all. The only interest we have is in the Hooper House, and possibly the stucco building behind it, which I understand cannot be separated.
Correct. It's all one part.
It's all one.
Correct.
So Jeremy Clark is here tonight. He is handling our legal affairs. But 2 years ago, we made an offer, a straw party offer. We hired Mr. Joe Kapoor to be our attorney. He never even got a response. So we have met with a number of people from your congregation to talk about what we could do there and what you could do there. And we do not have any interest in the Timothy House. The only thing we would do with the Timothy House is give it to our housing corporation, which would make it affordable housing, 4 units of affordable housing. That's all we would do, like we're doing with the church on the 800 block of Ferry Street.
Are you aware of all the emails that have gone back and forth, Mr. Clark?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
Because Mr. Clark responded and said, we have to tear the building down.
we believe the engineers are saying. We don't,
Oh, yeah, the engineers. I'm not,
I mean, at
I'm
this
not
point,
doing that
I would say that since this matter is in litigation, there is a pending hearing in front of a judge in February, that I would advise counsel to not really comment on this matter, because that's the proper venue for this matter to be discussed. But the interest of the city in the Hooper House, or I'm sorry, the Timothy House, and the need to tear the Timothy House down is not to sell it to somebody else or to do anything with it. It is to properly restore the Hooper House, because it's not load bearing, as you intimated, but it is about an inch or inch and a half away from the historic addition to the Hooper House itself. And the initial reports of the engineers indicate that to properly restore the Hooper House, the Timothy House can't remain. And so that's the reason for that change, and for the shift in negotiations prior to the filing of the taking, as I think we've said a couple times in negotiations with your attorney.
Mr. Mayor, I ask you this. When attorneys get involved, they have one thing to do, right? Whether it be a divorce, whether it be a settlement, they have one thing to do. But it sounds like you and we could do something and save the taxpayers a lot of money.
I'm more than happy to do that, Pastor. City Council has been updated on this, and they are well aware, and I don't want to get into the details, but our interest, my interest initially, and there's money put aside by the city to
I'm aware of
restore
that.
the Hooper House. And the Hooper House is the last 18th century building left in the city that we don't control. We did the Nicholas House at 5th and Ferry. We'd like to do the Hooper House at 5th and Northampton and restore it back to its original grandeur. So
I think we were okay until the attorneys got involved.
we're fine with that.
No, I'm saying I think
I'm
we
fine
would have been okay.
Discuss anything with you. Never
Okay.
had a problem talking to you.
Can we discuss not doing this with the Timothy House and allowing the church to have the Timothy House as it always has for over 40 years? I mean, that thing is so solid. I-beams in there. I mean, when I received the report that said the engineers, and I heard the report that it has to be taken down, I was in shock. Like, hold it. There's no reason. And the church has a right to its existence, and it has a right to utilize that property, and it feels as if that's not even being respected. And even if there was an amount of what, $375,000 for all 4 properties, even if that was given, you and I know that that's not even a touch of a down payment on a suitable property of the same possibility. It doesn't open, and finding something 5 blocks away, how do I utilize that property correctly that far away?
I'm more than happy to discuss it individually or with our attorneys. I mean, my
I
attorneys
would like to
advising
talk to
me.
you over a cup of coffee. Forget all the attorneys. Remember the days when people used to talk and make decisions? I would love to pay for a cup of coffee for my mayor to sit with me. You tell me when. You tell me when, and I will cancel my schedule to meet your schedule.
Let me talk to my solicitors first.
Do you have my phone number? Because I'll give it. Mr. Clark, do you have my phone number, sir? I'll write it down and I'll give it to you before I leave tonight.
Okay.
And I don't think we need to spend the taxpayers' money. You know, I used to work at the jail.
Yeah, I know.
And like the normal thing was, give an inmate $10,000 if he plans to take you to court, because if you have to go to court, he takes $10,000 and it's the least amount you'll pay. What is this going to cost the city and the taxpayers for us to have something that we could talk over a cup of coffee and settle it? So that's what I offer, and I do have that regret, because in the end of this, if we lose that building, my asking you for walking together and let bygones be bygones brought me to this podium today.
Appreciate that.
Thank you for allowing me
Thank
to
you.
speak, sir.
Thank you, Pastor. Anyone else like to address an agenda item?
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Pastor Gaylord Henderson. I live in 2217 Eugene Street, Easton, Pennsylvania, but our church is here in downtown Easton, which is 229 Church Street. our churches is Oasis Covenant Ministries. And I definitely concur with what the pastor has said in terms of, serving the community. We've been established now here like maybe 2 years. We're a small church, but we do see the impact in the community. And as you had prayed at the beginning, talking about the camaraderie or the unity within the city from a nonprofit organization, I hope that the council will see fit to talk to them and to further negotiate, because as we know, when you go into court and everything, it's a different matter, right? If we don't want guns, figuratively, excuse me, I'm talking about us to be able to talk in the community, because we see what's going on in the community. And I believe that they've been here for 40 years and they've done a great thing in the community. Obviously, we all know funds dry up because of times, but besides that, they have a heart for the people. And we love being here, and we do really hope that you seriously consider what they're saying about the Timothy House, and we give our support behind them. And we just want you to know that. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm here because I would like to express some concerns about the actions that the city has taken against the Rock Church of Easton. And the church and the pastor, as he's spoken graciously, are putting aside their concerns about the Hooper House and focusing on the Timothy House and its value to the church. But I would like to focus on the Hooper House. And I would like to ask you one simple question, which is, why now? By your own admission, Mayor Panto, in many interviews, you've stated that that property has sat there unused, collecting dust for decades. And yet in all that time, the city has never felt the impetus to take action and seize that property by eminent domain. Yet when the Rock Church approached you, Mayor, in good faith, to work together on restoring that building, to take measures to set up a nonprofit, to set up a board, to set up and collaborate with historical advisors and members of the community to turn that property into something valuable, that's when the city decided to step in and undermine those efforts and discussions.
I would correct you on that. That was
Would you?
not the way it happened. We brought those people together for our meeting because of my desire to do this for the 250th anniversary of the United States of America.
That anniversary has been, 250 years in the making, so surely this hasn't come up unexpectedly. So again, I ask, why now? You've had many years to work together with the church, or even to seize it by eminent domain, and yet you waited until the church was already taking actions and making movements to try to do something of worth with this property. Why now?
The American Rescue Plan that was passed, ARPA funds, gave the city $20.6 million, and part of that money was put towards historic renovations in the city, and that was primarily the Hooper House. It's the only one left, and that's why we were able to do it, because we have the money from the federal government.
Yet, in the past, why not working together with the church? Why not making efforts?
I hate
in
to
advance to do
disagree
this?
with you, because you're being very polite, unlike the meeting 2 weeks ago at the NAACP, where one of your congregants came and made very, very bad allegations against me, where two of the members of that organization called me to make sure that I knew that they thought they threatened my life. I've been here since the 80s and worked with the Rock Church to try to do it, and they were always going to do something with it. And it hasn't happened.
You're right. And now they finally were taking action. If you had brought this forth in the past, I would have understood. If the building was sitting there, they weren't making any efforts, that's completely valid. But when they finally were taking action, when they finally were making steps, that's when the city stepped in. And that's what I have to question. Why now? Why at this time?
Mayor, with respect to you and your position and the Rock Church, I would ask that we discontinue conversations as it is in litigation, to let the lawyers talk, or if they give permission to talk privately, but I don't think we should continue any further.
Excuse me, sir.
Because it's in litigation, let our lawyers speak.
The citizens can certainly speak, but my advice to council would be to not comment because the matter is in litigation. But-
I think everyone has the right to come up here and.
Oh, no,
say-
they have a right to speak.
and
I don't,
say what-
I'm saying we
and
don't have
share
a
their
right to
thoughts.
converse. They can speak, but we shouldn't
I
respond.
agree with that too, but I think that anyone here who would like to say something about
Absolutely.
the situation is allowed to come up and speak their mind.
No, that wasn't my issue. They can speak, but we shouldn't engage.
Excuse me, sir, may I have your name and your address?
Yes, my name is Jonathan Mitchell. My address is 34 North 6th Street.
Excuse me, I just want to, and I'm sorry for interrupting, because if council wants to discuss this even tonight, it should be done in executive session. That's my only recommendation there, because it does involve litigation.
I don't like the congregation coming here and trying to make allegations that aren't true. 2 years ago, the city hired Mr. Joe Kapoor to make a valid offer after an appraisal was done on the Hooper House. He did not even get a response. So to come here and say they've been talking about it for 2 years, we talked about it just a few months ago in my conference room. We talked with one of their architects and I guess maybe he was a fundraiser. I'm not sure what he was, and one of their attorneys, and we were on a path towards purchasing the Hooper House. I had no desire to either the second building, the stucco building, or the Timothy House, and you know, I can't say too much, but the Timothy House has issues. I really appreciate the pastor coming up here and saying, but they don't even have a CO. You have a CO. But it's not a CO from the city.
Right. A CO, certificate of occupancy is issued by the
city.
codes and enforcement office of the city of Easton. I don't know what is in Harrisburg, but it's not relevant for whether or not a dwelling is legally permissible for use by the city of Easton and under the city of Easton's ordinances.
Well, I've said my piece. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address City Council?
My name is Samuel Santos. I reside at 37 North 5th Street, Easton, Pennsylvania. Good evening. I don't come here tonight to make war or to make any snide comments, but I was born and raised in Easton. I would ask to appeal to our better nature as human beings. It takes much for me to come up here tonight. And to City Council and to Mr. Mayor, I'm the third generation minister at the Rock Church of Easton. For the past 40 years, my family has served at that church. And I find it this evening, if I could ask one thing, of everything that was said tonight, whether it was truth or it was a lie, and I'm not saying anyone was one or the other, but this city I love and this church I love. And may I ask us tonight that we would stand together. Mr. Mayor, I see your heart for the city of Easton. I love the history of this city. I know that you were a history teacher. I love history. I love this city, and I want to serve in this city. I want to serve in the way that I feel my God has called me to serve. And so I ask you tonight, and I'm sorry to get emotional, but I cannot help to understand and to think that I am being punished for things that have happened that I had no control over in the past, and vendettas that are being settled today that now I am being punished for because the building is being taken away and we feel that this is unjust. And so I ask of you for your better nature, for those of you who are God-fearing on this council, and to those of you who believe and say that you serve the Lord or whatever God that you serve, I ask that you would speak justly. And I pray for the God of mercy and the God of peace to act justly. And for the verse that you read, Mr. Mayor, I do ask that we would be able to walk in unity together. And I'm not asking to fight. I'm not asking you to, all I'm asking is that we could keep the property. We already told you that you could have the Hooper House, and I didn't even plan to even say any of this tonight. But I just ask of you tonight for your better nature. To those of you who are on council tonight, I'm 27 years old. First of all, I'm a husband. I am a father of two beautiful children who are 2.5 and 7 months old. I will be in this city most likely for the rest of my life because I am called to be here. And I hope tonight that whatever it is that I say to you will be enough to conjure your hearts towards things that are upright. And I ask you tonight, upon my behalf, laying aside my grandparents, laying aside the whatever it is from the past, I ask you tonight, City Council, Mr. Mayor, I ask you tonight that you would please, on my behalf and for my future here, that we could keep the Hooper House, not the Hooper House, I'm sorry, the Timothy House, and that we have already told you you can have the Hooper House. But it is my understanding that the Timothy House is a viable asset to the church and the ministry of the church, and we use it all the time to help the needy, to help those who are in need. We feed the homeless. We clothe those who need help. My father was the chaplain in Northampton County, and we still bring men out of prison on a monthly basis and allow them time to be reinitiated into the city. So tonight I ask you this, ladies and gentlemen who are here tonight, and those of you who may be watching online, I appeal to your better nature because I'm not one to fight you with legal terminology, but I speak to you tonight as a citizen and as someone who loves the city of Easton and who is called to be here. And I pray tonight that the Lord would hear my cry and that we would be able to walk together in unity as the scriptures say, that the same God that you profess tonight, the same God that you read from the scripture tonight, that if you are God-fearing, I pray tonight that we would listen. And I ask that you would please listen to me. I don't care about the lawyers. I don't care about the money involved. I care about my family. I care about the church that I'm called to and the city that God has called me to be at. And I ask you tonight that if you do not hear anything, I ask that you would hear this, that you would allow us to do and continue as a church in the way that the Lord has called us to do it. And I pray for the fear of God upon all of our hearts, that we would act justly and that the God of justice would act swiftly and that the Lord would touch you tonight. So thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, council members.
May I have your name and address, please?
Yes, Gary Nielsen. I live in Nutrapoli, at the other end of the county. I drove an hour to get here. I don't know the whole story. The story that I heard was on AM radio and Channel 69. I got bits and pieces. But from what I gathered, from what I heard and what I saw, to me it looked like gross government overreach. And it just seems unjust. It seems unfair what you're trying to do. Like I said, I came in a little late. I didn't hear all the debate back and forth, and I don't know all the details, all the nuances, but I understand that eminent domain, obviously you can wrangle legally and take that property, but is it the right thing to do? Is it the moral thing to do?
The first thing we did was tried to buy it outright. We had an appraisal done and we made him an offer 2 years ago with Mr. Kapora. If it would have been voluntarily sold to us, it would have been voluntarily resolved, but it wasn't. So we used our power that we have under the federal government of eminent domain. It's a historic building. It's the last one in the city of Easton. The 20th century was not good to Easton, but certainly the 17th and 18th century were. The 18th and 19th century. I mean, Easton was the largest of the three cities in 1900. And Colonel Hooper was a very important character. Just like George Taylor was. I was at George Taylor House on Saturday for the rededication of their plaque with the Daughters of the American Revolution. They've owned it since 1906, and they've maintained it. It's a beautiful structure. We'd like to make the Hooper House the same way. We did the Bachman Tavern. The Bachman House was the original courthouse in the city in 1752 to 1761. I mean, I'm not doing this because I want the house. I have no desire to have it. It's only for historic purposes, and we tried to buy it outright initially.
So even at this point, why couldn't you direct some of your resources in their direction and help them? Help them to navigate the bureaucratic system and get them some federal government grants or even state grants, or send them, the engineering people that they need, or the construction people that can bring it up to code and get it to where you want it. They've served this community for many years.
They've done a great job.
Yeah.
They
I think they'll
revitalized
continue
the
to do
5th
that.
and 6th Street neighborhood when it was crime-ridden. And Pastor Sam was one of the first people to do that. I don't have any qualm with that. That's true. And I will admit that, and I've said it many times. I've said it on TV, but obviously it ended up on the editing floor. Pastor Sam and I were friends. And the pastors that are here, the father and the son, I have no ill will towards them. I just feel very strongly that Easton is losing a lot of its historic buildings, and this is an opportunity for us to save one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council.
Name
My
and
name-
address, please.
Brooke Mittman, 626 Coleman Street, Easton, Pennsylvania, 18042. I, again, being from Easton, care about the same things we all do. I'm here on behalf of myself and Brett Weber Architects. We actually sat in the original meeting on May 5th, Friday, May 5th, 2023, with the mayor and some representatives of the city, including Shakira Martindale, discussing the restoration of the Hooper House, that we were going to undertake that as private citizens and as the church. We, at that time, said that we would create a second entity. There were actually a number of meetings, in-person meetings, most of which I attended, I think, if not all. And so we had started the process, and I also have a timeline that Brett Weber put together that at some point we should probably go over, because we, in good faith, have always acted on the impetus that we were going to restore it as a nonprofit entity, separated from the church, going through the separation of the parcels and doing all the things necessary to isolate the Hooper House and the adjoining property behind it, and separate it from the Timothy House, so the Timothy House could continue to be operated by the church, and then we, as a private entity called Friends of the Historic Hooper House, which is not incorporated, but under Humanitarian Social Innovations as a 501c3, currently operating. And we were in the middle of doing the work when this, I don't know what happened, but somewhere the eminent domain thing came down, and we basically stopped working to try and strategize what to do with it. So anyway, we're halfway through the conditions assessment. Brett has put together a list of phenomenal experts from inside and outside of the city, and we have very qualified experts in historic preservation and restoration. So not sure where we go from here, but hopefully we can come to some kind of peaceful resolve. Thank you.
Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Go on to our consent agenda, Madam Clerk.
We have two resolutions on the consent. They're both certificates of appropriateness, one for 157-63 Northampton Street, and a certificate of appropriateness for 140 Northampton Street.
I noticed that the Historic District Commission denied any certificate of appropriateness for McDonald's, the rebuild.
They're going to
Mr. Shear, we don't have to do anything with that since it's been denied already? We don't have to deny it again?
It's under new business.
Yes, you do, because it's always only a recommendation. So you would have to,
Okay.
vote to adopt the resolution of the Historic District Commission denying the request.
Yeah, I see it's letter H under new business. Okay, thank you. Reports received by council, we don't have any, so I'll go on to finance report.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Oh, we need a vote, yeah.
All right, we need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, roll call.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
And Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Finance Committee report, Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I have three things on this evening. Bill number 3039 is the ordinance section 285 fees. Would be introducing also, bill number 40, and that's for the budget for the 101 general fund, and 41, which is the health benefit. Do you have anything you want to add to that, Director? That is all I have for this evening at this point.
Thank you. Economic Development Committee, Councilman Pinnabone?
Thank you, Mayor. As I state pretty much in every meeting, we're still meeting with Lanta to work on a transit plan that would be a lot faster than what we have now, that would connect all the neighborhoods. So I plan to come to City Council in a few weeks with some positive news that we can hopefully move forward. The DCD department placed directional and visibility signage for the 300 block of Ferry Street businesses to those impacted by the construction of the marquee. So if you're on Ferry and 4th, you'll see signs showing that what businesses are there and that they are open. So we want to make sure that we're still supporting those businesses. There is a process of a new liquor license transfer application coming. The applicant will be on the agenda for the next council meeting. We've interviewed 4 candidates for the grants administrator position. We expect to make a decision and offer prior to the end of this week, so you will hear about it at the next meeting. And residents and business strategy survey has yielded more than 1,150 results. These will help to inform our business recruitment efforts. Grants, we received $4,000 for upgrades to Scott Park, and we received $16,800 for College Hill Bike Lane from Capital Blue Cross. Tonight on the agenda, under 14 new business, letter J, will be a resolution from DCED and our home program. There's a resolution tonight, which is letter J, to authorize the submission of a grant application to PA DCED for the 2025 home program. Easton is currently, or was currently, a recipient of the home funds. However, those funds from 18 have been spent. 25 homes in the West Ward and some on the South Side were recipients of home funds for improvements, including new roofs, windows, bathrooms, electrical, plumbing, or heating projects. We still have more work to do for income-eligible homeowners in the city and are requesting more funding from DCD at this time. We're going to submit a grant application for $469,792. If there's any questions, we have Michael Brett here that can answer anything that you may have.
Hi, Michael.
Mayor, hi, Council. So thank you for that introduction, Councilman Pinnabone. So this will be very similar to our past home improvement programs that the Redevelopment Authority has administered in 2013, 2018, as Councilman stated. These are whole home programs. The goal of these programs are to walk away from these homes and make them code compliant. It's not a facade. They're not necessarily beautiful before and afters, but we produce safe homes for our residents to live in. These are owner-occupied grants, and the scope of works will be very similar. Some of the differences that we're proposing in the 2025 application is to increase the amount of money that we will loan to homeowners. Previously, it was capped at $25,000, which doesn't go too far in the construction world these days, especially when our core components are abating lead, eliminating radon, and putting hardwired smoke detectors in. We don't have a lot of money left, so we're proposing $50,000 for each homeowner and project. And the term of the zero-interest loan and forgivability is also, we're proposing 10 years rather than 5, since it's an increased amount of money.
Let me first say, great job on the affordable housing aspect. And I appreciate you giving me the tour of the former church up on 800 block of Ferry Street, which is really nice.
Thank you.
It's coming along. When do you expect that to be done?
Let's see, they were originally in March. We're going to be in April a little bit. We got held up just like with our new construction with the severe cold and not having heat in the building yet. So
what about the two affordable housing projects over on the south side?
They will probably be more towards the end of April. Originally, it was like the beginning of April. They're at the point where they're putting siding up, and the siding is too brittle in these temperatures. So we're about 2 or 3 weeks behind on that.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, so is there any other questions from council on this program, or any members of the public have any comments? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brett.
Thanks, Mike.
Also, Mayor, after the January 8th power outage here in Easton, I reached out to yourself and Louis Campos and asked to have a meeting with directors of Med Ed, which we put together. We met last week. The big issue for the public of power outages in Easton seem to be vegetation and trees. They have secured some funding from the state and federal, and the first quarter of 25, they're going to do tree pruning in College Hill and Southside. They're moving a station that predominantly served the Highlands, because the Highlands is on 611 and they can't get to it to work and prune around those pieces of equipment. The outages that happened downtown on January 4th, when it was probably the coldest night of the year up to that point, was just a freak accident of 3 or 4 different components that happened to blow at the same time.
Was that underground?
Underground. They were underground. So another issue is a lot of people reach out to us about streetlights being out. We put the call in. Med Ed will come, and within 48 hours, if it's a light bulb, they'll fix it. If it's something more, it takes a while, but they never responded. So I asked that they can do something to follow up to let us know they are working on it. There was a procedure they did years ago, and they're going to start doing it again. They're going to put red ribbons on the pole. That means they've been there and there's something else to do to it, and it's going to take some time to get fixed. So keep going on to the Med Ed website, put the code of the pole on there, and they will get out there right away to try to fix it. And we're hoping, they said 2024 was the worst year they had. They can remember with wind and with the trees. We had a lot of power outages, so we're working on correcting that. Lastly, Mayor, and for the press, I have a paper for you. The Easton School District is raising money for leukemia, and they would like the public to know the Harlem Wizards are coming, and they're going to play our staff from the Easton Area School District in a fundraiser game, fun for the whole family, and the money raised will go to fight childhood leukemia. So I have some information if anybody is interested, if the press would like to take it. So we want to make sure we support that. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Shear's offering to play ball.
No, I know. That's why I ignored it.
Frank, can I have a copy of that as well then?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Councilman Pinnerbone, and Councilman Rose, Planning and Coach Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. So I spoke to our planning director who's here tonight. We expect Scannell, the developer of the Wood Avenue Warehouse project, to be back at next month's meeting, which will be held on Wednesday, February 5th at 6:30. We do expect they may have a signed HOP by then, so stay tuned for that. The agenda and information is forthcoming on the website. I also have accepted an appointment to the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission for 2025. Thank you, Mayor. And my first meeting is tomorrow night. Dwayne is here to give an update on the comprehensive plan timeline. Dwayne Tillman is our Director of Planning and Codes. And while he comes up here, I just wanted to remind everyone that Easton Restaurant Week is this week, so make sure you get out to our local restaurants. They have some really great venues that they're offering for this special week.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, Council. So we've all been talking about the rewrite of the comprehensive plan since the city of Easton is booming as far as development. The MPC, you're allowed to review it every 10 years. So it was adopted in 2017. We're coming up on that 2027 mark soon. So this is how the timeline rewrite is written out here. So first, we're going to have to secure funding with grant money, either grant money or propose it in the comp plan rewrite funding for 2026 budget. The breakdown for the original is as follows. In 2013, the rewrite, they had third-party plan costs varied between $225,000 to $310,000. At that time, we had additional funds from the Silk Mill Sustainable Communities Grant, which we were able to use $170,000 worth of it. As well, we had a MAP grant from DCD, which was $25,000. We just talked with Bella from DCD. We're probably looking to get between 50 and 100 in a phased out grant for this process. The city of Easton budgeted in $4,000 for it, which came to about $199,000 for the first rewrite. For that rewrite staff cost at that time, we had the the planning director, we had the planner, and then two people under the planner, which from 2013 to 2014 totaled $354,694 in their salaries that went into it. So we had about a total of almost $550,000 into the rewrite in 2013 for it. The second step would, once we secure these funds, the department would create a RFP for the rewrite. We'd put that out. It'd have a month to 2 month deadline. Third step would, we would create a selection committee consisting of a planning staff, planning commissioner, city administrator, and 1 or 2 residents. This would take about a month to put together as well. The fourth step, the selection committee would vote on the top five firms, if we get 5 or more firms, to interview once the RFPs have been submitted. That process would also take about a month as well. Interviews will be scheduled within a month for those selected firms from the committee. After the first initial interviews, the selection committee will select 3 firms for a second interview, which will occur within a month of the initial interview. Once that firm's selected, the process to develop a comprehensive plan rewrite is typically between 2 to 3 years with, public outreach, stakeholders, meetings, and so forth. And then the 8th step would be the planning commission needs to approve the final draft, and after that, it would go to city council for adoption and implementation.
Any questions for Mr. Tillman? Good report.
I have one question, Mr. Tillman. Last year, when I mentioned this, LVPC was offering some grant assistance for this. Are they still offering it, or is that gone now?
Well, we're looking into it. So I have Trevor looking into what grants we can get, and we're reaching out to see. We'd rather fund this all with grant money than put it in the budget. So that's what this year is going to be about, securing the funding. And then once we get that funding, we'll know how much we can actually spend on it.
I'm sure Lewis is happy to hear that.
And I'll be at the LVPC meeting tomorrow night, so I will inquire.
And now we have
Great.
somebody in on the board. So
Thank you, Councilwoman Rose.
OPM.
Lewis's money.
Any
Thank
questions
you.
for Mr. Tillman? Thank you, Dwayne.
all right.
Thank you.
Anything else, Councilmember Rose?
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Ruggles, Public Safety.
I have no report tonight.
Public Works Committee, Councilmember Ettinger.
Thank you, Mayor. On tonight's agenda under new business, I'm going to be moving 4 resolutions. There's things like engineering, a couple of engineering reports, and a traffic plan, and an energy agreement with Constellation. If anybody has any questions on them, Mr. Hopkins is here. I also wanted to report that the Redevelopment Authority was able to obtain a grant in the amount of $25,000 for the installation of a dog run in Scott Park. Plan is to place this facility on the northern part of the park, closer to the Bridge Commission Guard Shack. It's a relatively underutilized part of the park, and we anticipate it to be usable by the early summer of 2025. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Sultana, the Administration Committee.
Mayor, we had a meeting last night where we attended a presentation from the Intrepid Fiber Networks, whose mission is to deliver fiber internet to communities throughout the United States to meet the broadband demands of the future. There was a resolution which is actually tabled for the next time because council has some questions, and we also want to explore more opportunities. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. My report, I just want to mention that I did send an email to the 5 members of the Eastern Suburban Water Authority that represent the city, asking them to attend a meeting either January 30th or February 6th, with whichever one they were supposed to let my office know which one would be best for them, and then we'll hold the meeting that night, and move that to the next step. Mrs. Rose already mentioned that the warehouse was not on the January Planning Commission meeting, but it will be on the February Commission meeting. We expect it to be on the February Commission meeting. We expect that they responded to all the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission comments. They responded to the traffic study by PennDOT. They responded to our Pannoni engineering report. The city went out and hired our own engineers to do a report on the traffic study also, because we're concerned about tractor trailers in the West Ward. I thank Dwayne for the comp grant plan. Also want to mention that we are now eligible to be a full member of the United States Conference of Mayors, because we went over 30,000. First time in probably 50 years. We went over.
What's the actual number, Mayor?
30,510. And by the time I leave office in 2027, we should top 33,000. Our high was 35,000 back in the 50s before the flight to the suburbs was there, and the city was getting worse. Mr. Pinnabone talked about the Med Ed meeting. Also want to mention we have a bike. One of the members who grew up on the 600 block of Walnut Street, who became a wrestler under Mr. Maitland and ended up getting a full scholarship to Temple, is now a very wealthy young man out in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and he's on the Temple Board of Directors. He is offering us 80 bikes a year to give away to the kids, so we'll probably use Community Bike Works, and Mr. Phil Richards has been very, very beneficial and very benevolent in all of our activities in the city, both to Easton Area Community Center and others, and the Easton Area High School. And the last thing I would mention on the agenda tonight, I have the resolution for the city to sell the Porter School playground lot, not the grassy area, but the macadam area, where the city used to have a skateboard park, to the redevelopment authority for $1, where we'll put up probably 6 townhouses for affordable housing. That's all I have for. So, Mr. Shear.
Yes, thank you. I just, there's an item that will come up, as Mr. Ettinger indicated, for the resolution approving an agreement with Constellation New Energy, Inc., and that's item O under paragraph 14. I'm going to recommend that when it comes to that voting on it, that you'll amend the prayer for relief to add to the following, to attest to same, authorizing signing the agreement, provided account schedule does not substantially increase over rates per attached schedule when provided for signature. Mr. Campos brought to my attention that the schedule, that the way Constellation works, they will not commit themselves to the rate until you actually sign it. So it's a moving target. And the good news is that Mr. Campos advises me that rates have already gone down since the one that was attached. But I think to be totally transparent here, we shouldn't approve without a qualification an agreement that indicates certain rates when that can change. So by adding that language, it would basically give the authority to sign it, provided it doesn't change with a substantial increase. If it goes down, it goes down. And I think we could do that amendment tonight, because it really does not substantially change anything as far as the notice goes as to what the business is.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I have no other
I
report.
did mention before I get to Mr. Campos, I want to thank Dave Hopkins, Public Works Department, for doing a great job on the snow removal this year.
Very good.
This weekend. It was very good. Last night, my wife and I were out to dinner for Restaurant Week, and I had a lady come up to me from Bethlehem who came into Easton to work, and she hit macadam when she got to Easton. But other than that, she was driving on snow-covered roads. So she was very happy that and said we did a better job than all the municipalities, Wilson, Palmer, Bethlehem Township, Bethlehem before. So I want to thank them, and also want to mention that when is the candle coming down, Dave? Next Wednesday. My granddaughter will really be mad at me. She gets mad when she says, "I don't like the bugler." Well, some people do. She's 4 years old. I'll say that for the end of the meeting. Mr. Campos.
Council, and Mayor, I have several updates. Number one, on Council's agenda tonight, item 14C is a contract for approval for blabbermouth communication. As you recall, we had put together a 3-month contract. This is going to be an annual contract. So to give a quick update, I think things are going very well, at least from my perspective.
I agree.
Okay, and from your nods, I would take it that they are as well. So I ask council that they please approve that contract. Tracy's an asset to the city with regards to communications. The second item is the STAMP program, the Strategic Management Program under DCED. A quick update, Mark and I, with the mayor, and a member of DCED, that's the State Department, not our department, will be conducting interviews next week with four candidate firms. They all look pretty good. They have some pretty good experience. The interviews are going to be taking place next week. If you'd like more information, please feel free to reach out to me, or if you want to participate, you can certainly talk with the mayor if you're interested in attending those meetings. The third item, Mark and I will be introducing a 2-year budget as is required by the charter. The 2-year budget is a forecast, if you will, so it doesn't go into a lot of depth. So it provides us a barometer in which we can work towards trying to improve. So we'll be submitting that, I hope, by the next meeting, if not the subsequent meeting. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that we are working on that. It's an important part of the budget process, so it's still not closed out. It does not require a formal approval by council. It's just it gives you, like I said, an idea of potentially a year from now where the budget could potentially lay. The fourth item, the administration is continuing negotiations with the IAFF. I just wanted to let you know that has not gone dormant. The IAFF, to their credit, has reached out to the administration. So we're working with them on some details going back and forth. The space downstairs in City Hall that's for lease, again, to give you another update, we have about 7 prospects downstairs. So I would say that the activity is fairly high. I'm not sure how or if they will pan out, but I'll keep you posted. I think that's a positive sign when you have the phone ringing, so to speak, and firms interested in coming into our space.
Mr. Campos.
Yes.
Each of these people did a walkthrough already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We've engaged with them with their broker, and we've had some high-level discussions. Not only the type of business that may go in there, but improvements, and we even looked at the viability of their business to stay in business over the next several years. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into decision-making before we bring it to council. And then 2 other items. On behalf of the mayor, I did attend a Blue Zone meeting, and on behalf of the mayor and also the city, myself, and also Dwayne Tillman, I thought it was important that we attend. Mayor, this was when you were in D.C. for you, so I think it's an excellent initiative, and it makes sense that the administration is there with the mayor for a lot of different reasons, but this happened to be the day after that we sat down with the mayor and reviewed the zoning amendments before we were going to send them over to the LVPC, which it should be at the LVPC now, or they're going to be sent over this week. And as you know, before council gets the zoning amendments, they have to be reviewed by LVPC and provide any type of recommendations. So that was number 1. And number 2, today I had the privilege of attending a meeting with the governor. It was a roundtable discussion with the Governor's Advisory Commission on Latino Affairs. The governor attended. It was at the governor's residence, and we discussed issues pertaining to health, education, and also labor, amongst other issues affecting the Latino community. I represented the city of Easton and Northampton County as the co-chair for the Governor's Commission. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Campos. And while you're talking about the roundtable, I want to read this email that I got from Connor Kapura, who was originally from Easton. His father is Joe Kapura. He's the deputy director for the Southeast region, which we are part of. And this one is Good Morning, Councilman Pinnabone. In September, Governor Shapiro signed an executive order launching the development of Pennsylvania's first statewide housing plan, a new step towards addressing the critical needs of housing and homelessness in our communities. As part of this effort, the governor's office will be convening roundtables focused on housing development and housing supports to inform recommendations to him of this plan. We'd like to hear from your organization, and we're pleased to invite you to participate in a housing development roundtable that we are planning for in our region. This regional roundtable is a unique opportunity to collaborate, share insights and recommendations on effective approaches for scaling housing efforts that align with local, regional, and state needs, and it's next Wednesday. So I want to thank Mr. Pinnabone for being invited, and we'll get a report from Mr. Pinnabone, I'm sure, when he gets back from that roundtable. It's going to be held up at Lehigh Valley Planning Commission. So congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor.
Move into the correspondence. There's no correspondence and no unfinished business. Moving right into new business, Madam Clerk.
We have a resolution for adoption and support of GEDP's inclusion in the Pennsylvania Council on the Arts Creative Communities Initiative.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
And,
You don't want me to vote?
yes, please.
Aye.
Okay. A resolution authorizing the destruction of police records in accordance with the retention and disposition schedule for records of Pennsylvania municipalities.
So moved.
I have a question. I'm trying to find, actually, everything is upside down. There is something mentioned in the police report that 2024 record from the magisterial district would be removed. What does that include with that?
Tapes. Records.
It's anything dealing with the police department in Easton. So if it happened someplace else in the county, we wouldn't have those records.
No, but it says coming from the magisterial district office.
I can't answer that question. Louis, I don't know why we would have Kapoor's or
And it's,
any magistrate, but Weber's,
That will go to county.
Orietta's, it would go to the county.
Yeah, I couldn't answer that either.
Yeah, and it's 2024, like very latest. That's what concerns me.
I don't know. We'll get you an answer.
It needs to be second. I'll second it.
Moved in second. Roll call.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
And Mr. Brown.
Aye.
A resolution approving a new contract with Tracy Werner doing business as Blabbermouth Communications.
So moved.
Second.
And congratulations, Tracy. Thank you.
Moved in second. You can congratulate her after you have 4 votes.
I think we got 7.
I think you have 7 too.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
You don't want me to vote again?
Mr. Henninger, I'm so sorry.
Aye.
A resolution approving a third, I'm sorry.
Next day.
I know. A resolution approving a third handicap parking space to be located at 871 Cattell Street.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Mr. Dr. Ruggles. Roll call. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
And Mayor Panto?
Aye.
A resolution approving a fourth handicap parking space to be located at 433 West Wilkes-Barre Street.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Moved and second. Discussion. I don't understand 4. What is the ceiling? Is it 10? I thought it was 3. Has to come to city council when there's a third handicap spot. And I don't want to badmouth primary care doctors, but it seems that they give out placards anytime they want them. Every time somebody says they need one, they get one. If we have reserved parking for everybody on that block, if everybody gets one, what are we going to do? But it is 3, right? After
3,
2,
they got to come to council.
They have to come to council, so we're giving a 4th. I just want to be mindful of the fact that we've never been asked for 4.
It's after 3, Mayor.
It's after 3?
I talked to Mr. Gill when we did the 106. It's after 3.
Yeah, 3rd and above needs.
Gill told us it was 3 and 4, but whatever. Either way, it's here.
I just want to make city council mindful of the fact that sooner or later we're going to be asked by everyone.
Mayor, I have a question regarding that. Could we have, going forward, can we have Mr. Gill give us his recommendation like we do with planning and codes? Because he's the one that meets with the primary doctor, goes to the house. So maybe we can get his recommendation on what he sees.
I can tell council, for what it's worth, I attend the Board of Health meetings where these are decisions are made, and all the council members drive by each property to look at the place where the spot is being sought. So they do a good due diligence there. They are allowed to, and they do consider the impact on the community. And so oftentimes if there are 4 spaces, I don't remember this one off the top of my head, it is usually a block where there's no housing on the other side of the street. I've seen them deny cases where they just feel there's too many for that nature of the block. Sometimes 2 is too many because it's a very short block with a lot of very tight housing. So the board is empowered to consider the impact on the community as well as what the person's needs for a space itself, and they do take that very seriously.
My concern is in the neighborhoods.
Yeah, if I can add just one more thing. For all those years I sat with the Board of Health on these hearings before Mr. Clark came aboard, and I asked him to take my place there. By our policy, the neighbors 3 doors over or 2 doors over to each side get notice of the hearing, just to make it clear that the neighbors have had a chance to comment, and so usually when a neighbor shows up, it's usually actually in support. It's actually kind of nice when they do that, with the exception of of one situation a long time ago that some people may remember because it ran over into city council, the complaints there. But so it is the neighbors know about it, but there's also a preliminary statement made to all the applicants that just because you have a handicap placard doesn't mean, that you're able to park in a handicap spot doesn't mean you're going to get this. And our board has been hopefully still coached that this is something I got to be really difficult to get, and all the applicants are told ahead of time that we don't give this out lightly, because when you look at the age of our population, you can very easily just give away all the parking spots permanently to people who.
Well, my concern is that you're no longer correct, because the Board of Health now gives out a permit, and only that permit number can park there.
Oh no, that's what I mean. That you're getting a piece of Easton real estate.
Right, but what I remember that it used to be a handicap spot, and anybody that has a handicap.
No. These for the Board of Health has always been a dedicated spot only for the individual who has that particular number, and they're supposed to periodically review this every year, because we have to flush out people who die, and there are some who die, but the family never gives up that card voluntarily. So
we got that problem before in College Hill.
We got it right now on Lehigh Street.
We should be reviewing those lists.
And they're supposed to be
cases like
reviewed
that, yeah.
by our ordinance. It's supposed to be reviewed annually.
We're working. It's man hours is the difficulty there. Joe is an amazing guy, but can only do so much in one day.
does it all.
So we are working on actually a procedure whereby we're going to at least send out of affidavit to everyone who has it that swears that it is still that person. That person still needs it. The conditions haven't changed. At least it would be something. And then I think also if we find out that they were lying on that affidavit, that's something that could be used in a citation.
You would hope no one would do that.
I would hope not. But that's like that would be probably step one. In step two would be then starting with some of the older permits. When Mr. Gill has time, he would then investigate and meet with those people.
That's a good plan. I mean, is it considered if someone has a driveway or anything like that?
Oh, always.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, my standard always used to be that if you can stand and wait for if you have relying on another driver, and you could stand and wait for safely, you don't need a handicap spot because the person could pick you up. But you have a lot of people who don't have a driver. They actually drive, and when you hear the testimony that they drive to work and they walk about 10 miles at their job, they don't get the spot. They're denied. And then you get the applicants who really need this because they have such bad conditions that they take all these medicines, and by the time you listen to the medicines, there's no way in the world they should be walking into a car because they can't drive safely, and they should get rejected. So, I mean, the process, there is a pretty detailed process, but with an aging population, you get more and more people who need it. But the first thing is always looked at is whether there is another place available on your property where your car can be, parked. And it's a tricky thing, and it's not a right to get these spots. It's absolutely a privilege because there's nothing that mandates the city doing this.
I think the other thing too, Joel, to consider is that sometimes people move, and people that move into that new dwelling take over that handicap spot.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've never heard that many times that being a problem. I've seen it more. I've seen it more with couples, older couples, the one spouse who qualified passes away, and the other spouse just feels they inherited
I've
it.
seen that.
And when that happens, it has stopped. By the way, I wanted to mention historically, when Tom Hess was the secretary of that board, he unilaterally imposed moratoriums for 6 months to a year because to catch up and to do basically to make sure that someone did an audit of all those people who had spaces. So it was interesting, but that was Mr. Hess.
Yep.
He didn't need a clock.
He also would take it down on the day of the funeral. Because I got calls from people saying, "You mean you couldn't wait?" Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Savage.
Okay. Mrs. Rose?
No nonsense.
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
We have another resolution approving a fourth handicap parking space to be located at 614 Pardee Street.
So move. Second.
Moved in second discussion. Roll call.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
And we remove that. A resolution denying a certificate of appropriateness for 300 Larry Holmes Drive.
So moved.
Second.
I have to say this. The McDonald's that's there is a leftover of an urban renewal parcel of buildings that were taken down, and that was a gas station.
Yes.
I think our historic district may go too far, but the only reason I don't complain about the historic district going into there and the Wawa shopping plaza is because we're going to go through a waterfront development. We have a grant, and that whole Lehigh corridor is going to be designed, and I'm hoping that we can eventually, in another 20 years, do something better than what we did during the 60s, because it's not good. But and I understand why they denied the McDonald's. I talked to some of the people there in the Historic District Commission, and hopefully they'll come back with something more appropriate, and maybe it'll be a little bit more historic for our city. Roll call.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone,
Aye.
Mrs. Rose,
Aye.
and Dr. Ruggles.
Aye.
A resolution approving the application for the PADCED home funds.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second, any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Eddinger,
Aye.
Mayor Panto,
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone,
Aye.
Mrs. Rose,
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles,
Aye.
Ms. Sultana,
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
A resolution amending the code of conduct for council members.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second,
I have a
discussion?
Yes,
question.
I have something to say, yes.
I have a question for Mr. Joel about the wording. So under the home rule charter, I actually discussed this with Mr. Ruggle and Mr. Campos, but I still want to ask the legality of the wording. Like under 3914 duties and privilege, it says city council members are expected to attend. But the proposed amendment says required. Would that overrule the home rule charter?
I don't know if there's a distinction between expected and required to attend would be a material distinction. I can't imagine that, I mean, to me, the expectation is, I treat it in the same format as a requirement. I don't see where it's I certainly don't see where it's overruling the home rule charter.
It won't?
I don't see why it is. I mean, you could use the same language here. Is this, which section in this new language is there that we're talking about? Councilman as well as where's the exact words that you're referring to? And I just lost it completely.
Article 1, paragraph 5.
Yep.
My thing jumped. It got so excited that it jumped away. No. Oh, you're talking about the home rule charter? You're talking about the amendment?
Well, both. Amendment says attendance is required, but home rule charter under the duties and privilege, 3914 does say expected. So I just want to make sure it doesn't overrule.
I can't. I mean, in my opinion, the term is expected to attend means it's required. I just would draw that as an equivalent interpretation.
Okay, thank you.
While we're on that, I do like to speak about that also.
What did happen to me?
A couple weeks ago, I was called, send emails from Ms. Sultana's statement. First, let me start off by saying that in all the years that I've served this community, and there's many years and many facets, I have never, ever missed 8 meetings in any capacity. But let me read this into the record. And this is from Ms. Sultana, who is the author of this. Absolutely, Councilman Brown missed 4 council meetings last year and a total of 8 when including committee meetings. Meanwhile, the mayor himself missed 3 council meetings while on vacation. Yet, it seems very concerning about they seem very concerned about my absence while I was traveling to, and let me just send it there. Whenever I miss a meeting, I can assure you that the clerk and administration knows well in advance. The second and foremost, I did my own fact checking on the statement that was made on the internet. I won't get on the internet and fight with people. I think that's not professional. I think the professional way is to put it on record, and here it is. I went back 2 years, and in 2 years that I was attending, the first year being in 2023, I had major surgery on my back and was out of work and was unable to come to council, but I called in every council meeting, every committee meeting. And then that brings us to 2024. I missed one meeting, and that was March 13th, and that's because I had another commitment, but I let council clerk know way in advance. So, Ms. Sultana, I asked, if you're going to make statements on the internet about someone, I would ask that you do your own fact checking. It's very disheartening to hear people calling me and asking me and sending me your page about this. I don't know what to tell you at this point, but my thing is that I'm going to be a professional at all times. I'm not going to get on the internet and play tag with anyone. And most importantly, I believe that you owe me, Ken Brown, a public apology for misrepresenting my name, my character, and my being on this council. That's all I have to say.
If I'm going to go back because, and I apologize, I didn't have any opportunity to prepare to evaluate these. I'm looking at the Home Rule Charter, and I'm not, what section of the Home Rule Charter does it even discuss attendance at meetings?
It's duties and privileges 3914. A.
There is, in the Home Rule Charter, we don't have a 3914.
Well, I have it open.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. Article 2 City Council talks about the general powers and duties. Council shall provide for the exercise thereof and the performance of all duties and obligations imposed on the city by law. It doesn't really even discuss the, things like attendance, which is why we're dealing with this under the Code of Conduct. The Code of Conduct is your own determination, is what you believe is appropriate conduct for all members, and there I would say it's a fair, whatever you're looking at, it's a fair interpretation
of the expectation.
Of the expectation.
I get that, yeah.
But council itself, I was going to say, there's nothing here that removes you from office. I mean, the Home Rule Charter.
No, nobody's going to be removed. I just wanted to make sure it's not overruled anything, because we do have the Home Rule Charter in place. Just wanted to make sure. I asked for the clarification, and that's all. And thank you for
I'm still waiting for my apology.
I'm just gonna ignore that, honestly, because
listen, facts are facts.
No,
I went back.
I am not.
did my homework.
I ask you not to waste council time and not to bring your personal grudge to the Easton City Council, because we are here to make decision for the people, not to deal with your emotional.
Councilwoman, these are your words, not mine. They're your words.
Talk to me after the city council, okay?
No, I'm gonna talk to you in public and put it on record.
When you put
it is.
Well, let me just back up, Vice Mayor Brown, in the sense that what you post are lies on Facebook, and I've tried to remain quiet, but I went back and looked at the meeting when I said the mayor has too much power. First of all, I voted against this charter because I didn't agree with the charter. But I didn't have to say that because that's private, but I voted against the charter. So when the mayor sits on council, that's the voters who decided overwhelmingly to change the form of government and put the charter in place. And they voted for that charter in 2007, November 2007. And when you say I went back and looked at the meeting highlights, because you said that you had to notify me. He has too much power. Now he wants us to notify him. I said to notify the city clerk. Right at the meeting, I said city clerk.
Mayor, it was the response to the initially introduced the amendment where Councilwoman Rose mentioned it has to be notified. It was response to that. And also, there is no lie, by the way. The Home Rule Charter does say the mayor is the president of the council and is the CEO of the city. And where is the lie? I just mentioned the fact that is mentioned in the home rule charter.
When the mayor
And that's
was,
all.
when we had separate bodies at one point, there was a president of council and the mayor was an administrator.
And he sat at
When
that
we-
table over there, 'cause
Correct.
I was
When
him.
we brought that together, the mayor oversees council and is a part of the council's voting.
This is about attendance, and I really don't want to get off the subject. I have witnesses that were there with me. My grandson was in my room when at midnight in Italy, I called into the meeting because it was an important meeting. I look at what's on the agenda to decide if I'm going to be away, whether I attend or not. And I have witnesses. I was in Puerto Rico on a cruise, sitting at a curbside sidewalk cafe, calling in to a city council meeting. So don't try to make me look like I didn't vote on a budget, which you didn't vote.
Mayor,
2
I
years in
just
a row you
asked-
didn't vote on the budget.
Mayor, I just asked Mr. Joel a question. I have no idea what offended you. I just asked a question before we vote on it.
You better
Simple
read
as
what
that.
you write.
And I can.
Simple as that.
I can now clarify, because just for anybody who wants to study this later, what you're referring to is not the home rule charter itself, but Article 39 of our city ordinances. We apparently have passed ordinances concerning the running and conduct of city council meetings, and that's what you're referring to. I don't remember what subsection you said, but it says that council can adopt its own rules and regulations. So within this code 39, so that's what you're doing with the code of conduct.
Mayor.
Yeah.
And the code of conduct, by the way, is within this section. So that's what you've been amending.
Thank you. All I just wanted to clarify. That's all before we get to vote on
Yeah,
it.
and I apologize. It took me so long to put the pieces
No,
together, but I really
no,
wasn't looking for it.
Mayor,
No worries, no worries. All
just
good.
for the
Mr.
record,
Pinnabone.
thank you, sir. Just for the record, as the person who proposed this legislation, and if you don't mind, Councilwoman Rose, as you who co-sponsored it with me, this is nothing more than just good government being responsible to the residents and the taxpayers of the city. That's all this is. It's good government. We were elected to do a job. The bare minimum is to show up. If you don't show up, don't do the job, don't run. And it's not for anybody in particular. There's new people coming, whether it's county council or city council. Do your job.
And I'm glad you said that, Councilman Pettibone, because that's what really got me. That's what got me upset. And it takes a lot to get me upset. But when somebody goes out there and try to harm your name,
well, that's what it's going to be, unfortunately.
And then I fact check it, and just not so. And I ask for a public apology, and I don't get it. Shame on you.
Mr. Campos, can you reach out to Madam Clerk and bring all the attendance, like how many council members actually missed the meetings and everything?
You could do it
Just
yourself.
to-
It's online.
Just to
Any
keep
public
the-
person can
just-
do that.
Excuse
It's
me,
online.
excuse you.
But why are we doing that?
Just to keep the record straight, because
Why are we doing
Good.
I
That's
don't
what we
know.
want. We want accountability. So
Going forward.
I drafted and shared this with you and co-sponsored with Councilman Pinnabone because let's start this year out on a good foot. Let's all be accountable to the people who put us in office here, and let's commit to showing
Yeah,
up
and I
doing
agree with
and
that.
doing what we're supposed to be doing.
And
I mean, I don't know. We
Budget.
could draw this out and talk about it for another half hour, or we could just
Exactly.
vote on it
We
and
could just
commit
vote on
to
it.
showing up here and doing your job.
And the ordinance is prospectively, it's frankly a difficult or probably I would consider an inappropriate use of staff's time to go backwards for history because no one cares. I don't know how much you care about that. You shouldn't, because that's why you've identified a question mark in your mind. You as council are the ones who decide how you want to have your rules. You decided going forward, we'd like to keep attendance, so this provides to keep attendance. And at the end of the year, there'll be a report.
Yes,
That's
I
It'll be
agree
done
with
in an
that.
orderly manner and the past is prologue.
I'm 100% agree with
That's
that.
right.
Like, this is-
I heard that somewhere.
And it actually doesn't make a whole lot
The
of
thing
sense.
that I like, the thing that I like though, when we start going to online and putting everything up for the public has the right at any given time to go onto our website and get that information. It's all there.
Dr. Rogers was
all there.
And by the way, I looked up some of the municipalities, including the West Easton. They do have like attendance mentioned on their website, which
Dr.
can
Ruggles?
which can be very helpful.
In looking at this, I'm not real comfortable with the word required, and I'll tell you why. Is because you say the council meetings and the committee meetings are required, and then we turn around and say you can miss 2 council meetings or you can miss 5 committee meetings, and that's okay. And that I mean, I would rather see the word expected in there, because I think required means you need to be, you are required to be there, okay? But then you turn around and say you can miss 2 or you can miss 5. Councilman, that was the recommendations of our attorneys. If I had it my way, it would be required. If you miss, you don't get paid for that day. I mean, that happens any job you go to. No, I'm just saying. No, I'm saying that came from the attorneys. The word expected instead of required. It should be required means you have to be there. Expected. It doesn't matter. We're kind of expecting you to be there,
but it doesn't matter what you say, what word you use, because we are
There's
powerless in removing somebody from this council.
Right. There's no teeth to this.
No, there's no real bite
I
to it.
understand. I'm just trying to make that word match with what we say in the next sentence.
But you can.
That's all I'm trying to do.
Require something can be required, but then be used for valid reasons. That you're allowed to say something. Something is required, but then there can be a justification for then not doing that thing. It doesn't mean you must, without exception, attend anything. I don't think there's a.
Doesn't say that though. I mean, I understand, but what it's saying is you can miss 2 or you can miss 5.
Let me ask you: if you were a student, are you required to go to school to attend? I mean, are you expected to go to, or are you required to go? Because you're going to get a certain amount of excused absences, and this builds in that you have 3 excused. Yeah, if you're as a student.
What
as
school?
a student in a public school.
I think the law
middle school or high school?
defines that, right?
Well, I'm just saying. I'm saying.
I mean, if the law defines that a student has to be at school, then they're required.
Right.
But I'm saying that.
I'm just saying the way this is drafted, and this is the way the code of conduct.
All I'm saying is I think expected there is a much better word
than the required.
With what you said, and it matches with what we had in the other one. Is expected is a better word for what is here.
If you could decide that there's no brilliant legal magic where you're required to adopt the words. I suggested language based on a short email that I received from Mr. Pintabone, and I think Ms. Councilperson Rose. I got our code of conduct says I have to address you all as councilperson or. Anyway, so to do it correctly,
Matt, it's Madam Rose.
No, it is not.
It's in the code of conduct.
It's Councilperson Rose. You're violating it, and seriously, you could get disciplined under that if the rest of the members feel that way. But it's it's seriously, it's the language was given to me. I tried to come up with very little guidance because we didn't have a big discussion with something you could work with. That's why I built in when you get to the discipline, you could get into excuse absence. Believe me, this is a lot more than I'm not sure you really even want this, other than the attendance record. You keep the attendance record in there, but once you're going to get into, citing them for an oral warning, I mean, look at that. I mean, just think of it. That's all you're looking at. If you miss the 3/6 meetings, and somebody has to first of all raise it as a question, then the majority has to say, yes, we're going to give you an oral warning. And what I've done is I've basically built in the concept is built in where when you discuss it, you'll say at the same time, and if you miss 2 more meetings, we're going to whatever step you're going to go to. It's all going to be up to you. In the worst case scenarios, all it is shame on you. I mean, that's where this whole thing comes up with. But if Dr. Ruggles, if you feel better with the word expected, it's not going to make a hill of beans difference in the ultimate impact of what you're trying to say here.
Mayor, After hearing the feedback, I would like to go to a roll call vote and see how it lands.
Okay, I would just like to make a amendment. I would like to remove my name as council chair from the person who, any member who cannot attend either in person or virtually is to advise the city clerk and council chair. I think the council clerk is the person you should respond to, and I said that at the meeting, and.
Yeah. They should respond to the clerk, and the clerk will let the chair know.
Yeah.
I agree.
Make sure.
I have another question, Mayor, from Mr. Joel. Mr. Joel, it also says a little bit in the bottom that as member who cannot attend either in person or virtually is to advise the city clerk and council chair at the first opportunity the member knows that the member will be unable to attend. I'm sorry. The member may provide an explanation, right? Would that not be violate the right of privacy?
It's calling off.
That's a hypothetical that I really, I guess your reason then, if you're saying it's a right of privacy, then I would say the explanation is that I can't be there for personal reasons, and leave it at that. That would be the way to give the explanation.
Unbelievable. Unreal.
Good answer, Joel.
You got to call off work?
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded, and we had discussion. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Yes.
Mrs. Rose?
Yes.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
No.
Okay, can move on.
Okay, we have bill number 38 being introduced, an ordinance approving an agreement of sale between the City of Easton and the Redevelopment Authority for a property located at 101 Kleinhahn Street.
So moved, and I'd just like to make sure that everybody understands, we're talking about the macadam playground, not the grassy park.
Mayor, if I can add, this is something that I believe you envisioned a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So to see it coming to fruition, and it's going to house a place that, and I don't want to be funny, but maybe you went to school, or I don't know when the
I didn't
school
go
was
to school
there.
there.
I went to
Okay,
Porter.
you went to Porter, and a place where I grew up is now going to be housing for people with lower incomes. Great job, Mayor. I appreciate it.
We have bill number 39, an ordinance amending section 285 fees.
So introduce.
We didn't vote on the last one.
No, we didn't.
That's a
It
bill.
was
It's just been-
introduced.
Oh, it's been introduced.
We'll vote next one.
Oh, introduced.
And a resolution approving a proposal from HDR Engineering to oversee the pending environmental cleanup work at the former Easton Iron and Metal site.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Resolution approving an agreement with Constellation New Energy, Inc.
It's so moved, but this is the one that we wanted to amend.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll second it first.
Okay.
Now,
And my recommendation is just to add to the very end, and I could give you my scribble.
Please.
Um,
Or you
if
can
you could,
email
if
it
you
to
could read, I'll try to rewrite it before
You
we
can
leave
email
here.
it.
Where it says, be it resolved, Council of Easton, City of PA reviewed and approves the electric supply agreement copy attached here too, which is why I'm suggesting this, authorizing the mayor and the city controller to sign said agreement in the city clerk to attest to same, comma, provided account schedule does not substantially increase over the rates per the attached schedule when provided for signature, period. I know, if I saw it typed up, I know I'd cut out a word or two, but I'm doing my best on the fly here.
Okay.
And that would be the proposal.
Somebody want to move that amendment?
I'll move that amendment.
Second the amendment.
Can you define substantially?
Well, when I put the word in substantially, I realized that that's a problem. And so one of the thoughts was at the discretion of the city administrator. If you want to plug in something over, that right now we're looking at rates going down, you could put in,
Well, if
you can put in whatever you want.
If the mayor signs right after this meeting, there's no issue.
Because the rates have gone down.
No, because those are the rates as of today. We received the rates today, they're lower.
But they're not the ones attached.
No, correct. We have a copy of the rate schedule
Okay,
for
so,
today.
so may I suggest this, that provided the rates are
Lower than what's indicated.
are not, provided account schedule is not greater than as per the schedule attached.
That's fine.
I would
There's
move
no
that
substan-
amendment.
and it can't be greater. So if it's a 1 penny greater, we can't do it.
We need a second.
We need a second on the amendment.
Second.
Second on the amendment, the amended motion. No, vote on the amendment, I'm sorry, amendment first.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Now we vote on the
Motion as amended.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
It got cold up here.
It's been cold all day.
Over here.
It got real cold though.
You can feel the air.
What happened? Louis, you paid the bill this month? Forgot. Finance guy forgot.
Look at that.
It went down to 2 degrees, that's why.
That's good. Yeah, the meeting was met it.
And we have a resolution approving an agreement with Panoni Associates for material and structural evaluation work for the Hooper House.
So moved.
Oops, sorry. Second.
Moved in second discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
A resolution approving a proposal from Traffic Planning and Design to redesign the intersection of Bushkill and Pearl Streets.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second discussion. Roll call.
I'm sorry. I have. We're reconfiguring what was done a year ago, right? So it's going to be easier flow coming down Woods.
Yeah,
and
it's,
Pearl?
so you'll have a stop sign. You'll be directing the traffic so that you can see easier up Pearl Street.
And it would be painted.
A lot of people drive that way anyway already.
Yeah.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay. Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Bill number 40, an ordinance amending the 2024 Budget Fund 101.
So
General Fund.
introduce.
Bill number 41, an ordinance amending the 2024 Budget Fund 252 Health Benefits Fund.
So introduce.
And that's all we have.
I know.
We're skipping the public comment.
And they're just going to go over to public comment now for anybody who wants to speak on any topic concerning the city of Easton. Residents, comments, concerns, or questions. Anyone? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion. Second.
Oh, I wanted to mention festival safety. We've been talking ever since the problem down in New Orleans. We have some festivals, as you know, we park our big trucks there. But we're looking at ways to improve the festival safety, defining the festival grounds, making sure that we keep the people who come down to our festival safe. So we'll be giving you an update on that in the near future. Motion is second, roll call.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown? Mr. Brown?
I won't be here tomorrow.
Aye.
Leave it up.
Right.
You,
So I got a bone to pick.
you
You got no meat on that.
I got a bone to pick.